Hi everyone, and welcome to the 9th episode of Trek China. Today I'm stood at the north end of Grand Central Park in Chongqing Yubei District, and my plan is today I'm going to walk from the northernmost point here all the way down to the southernmost point, and I'm going to show you the beautiful scenery along the way. Now what's caught my interest is that if you look on the other side of the road, we've got this little hill, and there are lots of little farms where local people have planted vegetables, they're tending the soil. I can even see one or two huts up there. But then on the other side, we've got this brand new flashy park over here. Also today, I want to speak about something, and that is going to be, after coming to Chongqing 20 years ago, which district is my favorite, in my own humble opinion. Just to show you, it says here, 重庆中央公园. So that means Chongqing Central Park. Now, I always wondered, is Central Park in Chongqing, or does Central Park in Chongqing have anything to do with Central Park in New York? And it's kind of difficult to give you a definitive answer on that. But if you look, say, on Google Maps, I think the overall shape and maybe even size of the park is kind of similar to the one in New York. But it's going to be difficult for me to give you a real comparison because I have never actually been to New York, let alone Central Park there. But I think the geographical shape, I think, is quite similar. And in the future, I'm sure the plan is to have buildings completely surrounding it. Maybe I can give you a 360. There's not much going on behind me, but in that direction, kind of heading westwards, we have a lot of developments over there. And my workplace is in that direction. Also, on this side, there are some buildings that are up and coming. Like I said, this park has been open for a long time. The first time I came here was around 2012, and even though it was in the middle of nowhere at that time, the whole park was still beautifully tended. And really, apart from some autumn, winter leaves on the grass over there, really the whole place is completely spotless. Right, so this is like one of the first. Good afternoon， 还是你的英文说得不错。还可以。今天来这里逛逛吗？对。经常来吗？
搞绿化，我们开3轮车。
哦，这样的，对，这样的。
是我们的搞，我们交有施肥。
哦，施肥啊，这个地方。
缺肥缺水，我们交又要施肥。
哦，要不然这里的草都长不起来的，对吧？
哎，对。
哦，这样的。
是干气，没有落雨。
那这里的绿化这么好啊，那我们都要感谢你们。
谢谢。你们英国人有好几个在这经常。
这里有其他的英国人吗？
有30个呀。
有那么多呀？
有2个男的比灯大点，经常都是从那边过来，不是哪个单位上班的，都是。然
后我们插上草坪没有什么问题吧？
可以。
可以啊，那这就更好。
好，找到耍吹游戏。
好的，那就辛苦你们了。
好的。
好的，拜拜，拜拜。Now this is definitely one of the locations I wanted to show you. We've got this gigantic lawn here, and unlike some places, they don't mind us stepping on it. Because often you'll see like signs saying 脚下留情 or something, take pity on the grass. But having grown up in England, grass lawns, fields have always been for like walking and playing on. Also, walking around here, it's pretty quiet. There's not too much noise. There's a little bit of traffic noise, coming off the roads, and every now and then there's an airplane that flies over. But apart from that, we can really hear like the sounds of birds chatting away. Right, so what is my favorite district in Chongqing? I'm going to say district, not county, because the counties are kind of the more distant parts of Chongqing municipality. So typically they're going to take, a few hours to drive to. But I think the central part of Chongqing, what we refer to as the Chongqing main urban area, has 9 districts. At the top, in the far north of the urban area, we have a district called Beibei. Now, Beibei, I have a lot of memories of. I remember when I first met my wife-to-be, this was a long time ago. She had a university friend, an old friend, who was studying up there, and we took a bus because at the time there was no motorway like leading up there. Also, there was no subway, so the only way we could get there was basically just a normal city bus, and it kind of went along these country roads, and it took like the best part of about 2 hours to get there with all of the stops on the way. But now that seems almost unfathomable because Beibei is so close, and you know, all of the fields and the countryside that used to exist in between the main urban area and Beibei has all been filled with developments. So now Beibei is kind of part of the main city. You know, Chongqing has expanded that much. In Beibei, there's plenty to like up there. It would have to be, you know, the natural living environment, because there, you know, you're surrounded by the mountains, particularly Jinyun Mountain. And of course, you know, Beibei is out in the sticks a little bit more, so you know, you don't have so many high-rise developments. You'll find the buildings are a little bit shorter, so you know, you don't get that really kind of packed, you know, crowded feeling up there. The atmosphere, the vibes are always very relaxed. And I learned earlier last year, of course we're in 2024 now, that Beibei, or Southwest University, was among the first batch of landscape universities in the whole of China. Okay, I can see the lake is right down there, but the question is, how do we get there? I mean, I can't see a path that is leading down, so I'm just tempted to cut across the grass, try not to slip over on the way down, and there's a gap in the hedge. So at least I'm not the first person to have thought of doing this. Right, let's just give this a try. When it comes to the downside of Beibei, I would just say that it's a little bit far removed from the rest of the city. I mean, if you live out there all the time and you know, you don't need to travel into downtown Chongqing, you know, you're based there all day, every day, then that's not going to be a problem. But if you're in my situation, I mean, I travel all over the city, all over the municipality for that fact, on a weekly basis. So if I was living there, then it would be a little bit inconvenient. It's not a big jump, so I'm just going to go for this. Here we go. Right. Okay, problem solved. We've got a group of older ladies down there. I think they're preparing some kind of dance session. I was a little bit hesitant on whether to go and speak to some people here. I suppose because there are so few people around, they might be a little bit scared or surprised if I suddenly come up and go boom, and then speak to them in Chinese. 这个跳的是什么舞呀？
现代舞。
现代舞呀？现在在做直播吗？
可以去刷了。
这边有播出去啊？
不，我拍的刷。
一个是，要不要教我几个舞步呢？
不会。
The next one I want to talk about is Yubei District. Now, Yubei is ultra modern. I'm sure a lot of you know a lot of the famous sites there. Roughly, Yubei is kind of a long but narrow district, and it kind of runs along the north bank of the Jialing River. And some of the famous landmarks there are, of course, the Grand Theatre, and at night the whole edifice kind of becomes a big screen. And then behind it we also have the Jianbeizui CBD area, so you can find a lot of the flashy tall buildings up there. And of course, if you live there, so a lot of the apartments, you know, have river views, and if you're looking towards the Jiefang Bay, Yuzhong Peninsula, then yeah, you're definitely going to be rewarded with some spectacular night views. Some of the places you might know along there, I mean, I suppose there's the Hongan Temple, and a lot of people love to go and take photographs and videos of that because, you know, Hongan Temple has this very traditional architecture, and in the background, you know, you have all of these ultra modern city lights. So I know a lot of photographers who love taking photographs of that location because we have this fascinating contrast between the traditional and modern. Okay, so really I have nothing against Yubei District. I would just say that, you know, it's quite densely populated, and also some of the roads are a bit narrow and windy. You know, at Paradise Walk, they have a lot of traffic, you know, a lot of foot traffic going through there, but a lot of the access roads are insanely narrow. Another one then, Yuzhong District. So that's the central peninsula, and that's where the original Chongqing was, where you could find the old city walls. So there is kind of like the diplomatic, you know, historical center of Chongqing. You can find all of the consulates there. It's full of tourist attractions, lots of interesting places you can go and check out, such as the 18 steps. You have Hongyadong, which all of the tourists love to go and see. You know, you've got the Jiefengbei Liberation Monument pedestrian area. Now, would I like to live in Jiefengbei? I might not choose it myself, just because, you know, it is kind of like a bit touristy. So every day, you know, a lot of tourists will pack the center, you know, Hongyadong, you know, the cableway that goes over the Yangtze River. So I think just for that reason, I mean, for me, I don't really see it as a place that I want to actually live. Where else? Okay, then there is Nan'an. So Nan'an is on the southern bank of the Yangtze River. Many parts of it are really modern. You have the Nanbin Road, which is really great to go on the evenings or the weekends. And we get some fantastic views of the Yuzhong Peninsula, and it's full of things to do. And you have a lot of these historical sites, such as the Opening Port Museum and the like. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like to live on Nanbin-lu, you know, unless my lifestyle kind of, you know, kept me specifically in that one area. Because at busy times, there is a lot of traffic, a lot of, you know, people, tourists descend down there all the time. And I think in the past, like in the 1980s, it was one of the most developed parts of Chongqing, almost on a par with the Jiefengbei area. But I would just say maybe in recent years, it's kind of like fallen behind a little bit. I'm going to put Jiulongpo and Dadukou kind of in the same pot. I mean, they're fascinating, you know, historical districts. There are some other fascinating places, you know, such as the Graffiti Street. That's another place we can go and look at one day. In Dadukou, they also have the Industrial Museum. And if you go there, they have lots of fascinating exhibits there, such as the Davy Brothers, you know, steam engine. And when they built the first railway connecting Chongqing to Chengdu, which opened, I think, in 1952, it was this steam engine from Davy Brothers that kind of made, you know, all of the 38 kilogram grade, you know, rails. So when it comes to Jiulongpo and Dadukou, I think you have some really fascinating history down there. But I would just say the only thing I would have against living there myself is that they are kind of old districts. And again, like with Nan'an, now I really like to kind of live in the up and coming, like, new areas of the city. Then there's Shopping-ba. Yeah, I mean, that area kind of has everything you need. I would just say it is a little bit crowded. Maybe this is something to do with the topography. You have a lot of these big high-rises that are like crowded together. It is kind of a little bit, you know, noisy at times, you know, a lot of traffic going through there. But, you know, it is a convenient place to live. Now you have the train station there, and you can get to Chengdu in, like, you know, 62 minutes on the bullet train. Also, Xiaoping Bar is kind of like a cultural center or an educational center. Remember, I heard like in the 1930s and 40s, around the time when Chongqing was the provisional capital of China, that a lot of the literati, the educated people came to live in the city here, because at that time it was like very isolated and I suppose relatively safer compared to other cities in China. So when they set up here, a lot of the universities and the schools were also established. Okay, Banan district. Now Banan has a lot of things going for it. I suppose the main city area is called Lijiatuo. And again, there's nothing wrong with that area, and it's relatively new. And they have all of these malls and the infrastructure is good. But Banan itself is absolutely huge. And I would still say most of it is countryside. But if you have time on your hands, there are lots of fascinating areas you can go and explore. I mean, they have the southern hot springs, the eastern hot springs. I really love the old town, which is called Fengshen on the mountains up there. Really great for trekking. I'm sure we'll do that one day. Some of the mountain tops, such as Heshanshan, you can go up to the top, and if you're there during the spring or the autumn, you can see a lot of the raptors, birds of prey on their yearly migrations. And they also have a lot of intangible cultural heritage there, such as the Mudong folk song, which I've tried in the past. The only reason I would choose not to live there personally is just the distance. It is quite far out from the main city. Although it's not a serious problem. I mean, if you go on the subway, you can get there like within an hour or something from the main part of Chongqing. My favorite place then is the district I'm stood in right now, and that is Yubei. Now, I think for me, Yubei didn't really used to exist. I mean, of course, the district, the land area used to exist, but the urban part of it is all relatively new. It's only been built up in like the last 10, 20 years. The terrain, apart from the hills, here and there, is mostly flat. So you can find there's a lot of these wide, boulevards. They've put a lot of attention into the environment. So we do have these lovely public spaces like this. The transport is really good. We're really close to Jiangbei International Airport. That's like about a 20-minute drive from my home. My workplace is only about a 20-minute drive away, or a 20-minute ride on the subway. What else? There's Chongqing North. Really close to where I live, there's a small innocuous tunnel which you can drive into, and you kind of drive along for a couple of kilometers, and then you come up and literally you're just outside the station almost. So that's really something that's made life even better. Yeah, then of course, all of the public infrastructure, like schools for the children and all that, supermarkets. Really, you've got everything you want. I mean, I would say you don't have so much in the way of tourism up here. I mean, we do have a lot of parks like this. There is also Happy Valley, which is about 5 minutes away by car from my home. But it's not really like a tourist area. It's very suburban, if you know what I mean. And it's not over businessy, if you like. We don't have a lot of these CBDs up here. So really, I think when you bring all of the factors together, Yubei is definitely the place to live for me. Okay, so that brings this episode of Trek China to an end. I hope I haven't rambled on too much, and I know most of you will never have been to Chongqing in the past, so what is good and relatively bad in each of the districts might not be all that relevant to you, but all the same, I hope you found it interesting. Also, if you like the content, please do hit that subscriber button. That will give me lots of motivation to go out and create more episodes. And in the comment section below, also let me know what you think, or if you have some ideas for topics we can talk about on these little park trails and all that. I'd be really happy to hear from you. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you again later.